We have been the biggest advertiser on YouTube globally.
Wow.
The big business is reaching people who don't intend to buy, don't actively search to buy something, and get them in, persuade them to buy, and get them to buy more or less immediately. And this ability is usually done in specific niches. The big ones are financial, a lot of supplements brands, fitness, diet, golf, for example, which is like a bit of something in the middle between the regular e-com and direct response. Those are just examples of the leading niches. To get a better understanding of the amount of videos we produce, we have like 2,000 ads a month that we produce here. Okay,
wow. 2,000 video ads.
Yeah, a month.
Oh.
Okay, now not all of them are totally different, but obviously a lot of them are different. In most cases, we have a couple of versions of the same ad as well. So when we test, so as I told you, we have different angles, we have different, some cases presenters, different type of ads, and for each one of them, we have different versions. Because let's say that there's something you want to try now, so you might try it with a different opening. This option, this option, this option, etc. So it's a factory of ads.
As a serial entrepreneur, I'm always trying to evolve. Having great conversations with other high performers is one of the best ways to grow. Not only in business, but also in spirit, health, and relationships. This is Svencast. Listen, grow, repeat. Welcome everybody. Today I'm talking to the amazing CEO of Kendago, Rafi Magen. Welcome, Rafi.
Hi, Sven.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for taking the time.
Sure.
I really haven't found many interviews with you in English, so this is like one of the very few, this makes me especially proud.
True.
Cool. So you're the CEO of Kendago. Please describe what Kendago actually does.
Okay. So a bit of background about Kendago. Actually, Kendago was founded 15 years ago by two engineers in Israel that started as affiliates. And they quite quickly became like one of the world's biggest affiliates at the time, and it evolved to what we are today. And today we are digital marketing partner that partners with companies and help them scale using paid media on the tier 1 networks. Now this means that we look at ourselves as partners and we help the success in all aspects of the business. So our craft, our expertise is the paid media. But in order to succeed and to do so, we actually work with the vendors hand in hand on all parts of the funnel and their business and help them succeed.
I see.
This is in a nutshell what we do.
Yeah, one of the founders is Roy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know him. Like when I was selling fat loss stuff, I worked with him like 10 years ago or so. Or more than 10 years ago. And he used to give me like the newest Google requirements, like the landing page quality score requirements. Change this on the landing page and change that. That was cool.
Yeah.
Great. And so now you are like more like an agency. And I've read that, so it's possible to work with you guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But look, the definition of an agency is a bit misleading in our case. Mm-hmm. So actually what we do, we have various ways to work with vendors. On one side, there's the agency model, but it's still very oriented to results. We don't charge anything and we don't have budgets. So what we do, we deliver the results and we get paid according to the results, according to the spend and the scale. So this is one side of the business. The other, we partner with brands and we help them succeed, which is more like an affiliate model, but it's different in that we are one-on-one with them. It's just us and them. It's not like being another affiliate of a list of affiliates. And we help them succeed in all parts of their business. Okay, it's not just us sending traffic. It's us working with them on the funnels, helping them creating new offers, working with them on the creative materials, directing them, writing scripts for them, recording for them in some cases. So the partnership model is something that we're very proud of, and it's working really amazingly for us.
Cool. And can you describe this kind of partnership? Is it like, do you build a company together, or do you have separate entities and you just do joint venture deals with the resellers so that the joint venture contract splits the profit, or how's that structured? If you may share that.
In those cases, it's a joint venture. And it's not a company. It's not going to form a company. We also have the ability to invest in businesses, but usually it's us doing our part, they're doing their part, and the money is split according to one mechanism or the other. It could be using Digistore, for example, or ClickBank, and it could be in other ways. But that's the idea. Each one does his part, but working very closely with each other help maximize the results. Okay? It's not just separately, it's together. So we build a roadmap together, we help them proceed, we help them achieve it, and each one contributes what is best at.
Cool. And what are your typical customers? Are they e-commerce brands? Are they direct response offers? What are they?
So in the digital marketing space, what we're doing is direct to consumer. And in that, what we're doing is direct response, which means we obviously also do search and, high intent customers, but the big business is reaching people who don't intend to buy, don't actively search to buy something, and get them in, persuade them to buy, and get them to buy more or less immediately, or usually immediately. So, and this ability is usually done in specific niches. So the big ones are financial, could be supplements, a lot of supplements brands, fitness, diet, golf, for example, which is like a bit of something in the middle between the regular e-com and direct response. Those are just examples of the leading niches that we work in. Okay, and in those niches we have specialty. Our copywriters are very experienced. We know the materials very well. For us, it's very easy. Okay, now we reached a couple of milestones in this in our work. For example, we have been the biggest advertiser on YouTube globally from time to time.
Wow.
And we signed an agreement with Taboola, special agreement with Taboola. We work very closely with basically all the tier 1 networks that help us in availability of betas. In some cases, they even help by creating creatives for us and our partners and clients. So this is what we do.
Okay. So I've read about a unique Kendago method on your webpage. Can you describe what your unique method is? Or is it just the way of your partnership, the way your partnership works, or what's your method?
So it's the commercial side is one thing, okay, but this is not what makes us, I think, really unique. The issue is that the competition level in what we do is extremely high.
Yeah.
So in order to be very successful here, it's like in some respect the winner takes it all. You have to be better than most of the players in the market. And for that, what we did is analyzed all parts of the success, what is needed in order to succeed, and we improved every part of this formula. Okay, so on one side there's the traffic, on the other side there's creative, and there's productions, and there's the brand reputation, and there's the technical part, which became more and more significant, by the way, if we'll talk about it later with the iOS 14, etc. So we took each part and developed it by its own, and at the same time developed processes to merge everything. So what we're doing, for example, is working in a methodology which is scientific to some extent, that the creative people work with the campaign managers, who are mostly, by the way, engineers, and they work with them hand in hand to step by step build experiments and analysis of the experiments, and once something is working, expand it. If something isn't working, replace it. And that's how you constantly improve, and you widen the campaigns as well. Because you can take one angle that's working, improve it, and then search for other angles at the same time, find the ones that do work, and then expand them. Okay, so like imagine a tree. It starts with one branch, and then it's split into more and more and more, and the tree becomes bigger and bigger. And this is what we do. We're starting with something, improving it and expanding it, and at the same time analyzing all the angles and testing them step by step in order to find the ones that work and expand them as well at the same time. Okay, so this is the mechanism.
You well, obviously, like let's analyze the elements of what makes a campaign successful. So do you also go to the level of landing page? Meaning, if there is a VSL, a video sales letter, do you also go through the copy and test these things out? Because I think there is a million things you could test there in the whole funnel thing. Like, what are the important things that you look for?
Okay, so first I should say that we start to work with products and funnels that convert to some extent. Okay, since we've been growing rapidly and adding people and stuff all the time, but we're still contemplating which offer to take the next, okay? Because we can't take everything we see. So when we start to work with a brand and an offer, it has to be something that was already tested, optimized to some extent, and working on direct response. Once it gets to us, we analyze all the parts. Okay, so one side is, as I explained, is the advertising side, but the other side is the marketing. Okay, so marketing can also be split into various aspects. So it could be, it's first actually technical, okay, which is something that you must address, and I've seen things which are definitely surprising and I wouldn't expect, but they happen, a lot of problems. Second is the text and the copy and the visuals and everything. And this is something we do usually in the next phase, not immediately. First, we take it, we grow it, and usually there's a lot of things you can do quite quickly. Let's say that something is running on Facebook. Okay, running on Facebook successfully, didn't work on the rest of the channels, rest of the networks. So what we do is take it, improve the results on Facebook, at the same time add, for example, Google, TikTok, what comes next, could be Snap, but usually a bit later. And then when it's working on a couple of channels, and usually we also add angles. So, and imagine everything doubles the rest of them. So you improve the conversions, okay? You add networks, and then obviously everything works well because technically everything works well. And then you go to the funnel and you start improving the funnel with the ads. Sometimes there are insights from the ads that could be implemented in the funnel. Because if there's the constant testing brings up a lot of knowledge. So take, for example, that one angle works better than the other.
Yeah.
You can stress this angle in the landing page. Maybe it was not as clear as it was. So the ping pong starts. At that point, our work with the vendor hand in hand really starts. Okay, because there's insights coming from each direction to the other and implement it. Now, another thing that we have, and this starts quite quickly, is that since we have a lot of offers running at the same time, usually a list of offers at the same niche, we have a lot of know-how that we can share between them. It has a lot of best practice. So this best practice is usually something we give to the vendor and tell him, look, what you're doing is very nice, but there's a lot of opportunities here. We know that this works better than this, and this works better than this. Now, obviously, you need to test. The fact that it's working for most of the cases doesn't mean it's going to work in your case, but at least there's a list of things with very high probability to work. So we give this and build this with the vendor. So at the same time that we do our direct work, we build a plan with him, and he starts doing his work. And everything is a multiplier. Improve by 50% here, 50% here, 50% here. You have to double everything.
Yeah.
So this is the beauty of the game.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. It's really scaling up stuff. It's really cool. You mentioned some best practices. Can you share your best practices? Things that some people from the audience might consider.
Wow. So obviously I'm going to leave the campaign management on the side. But look, marketing-wise, there's a lot of things about the presenter, and is he related to the target audience? And when is there a drop in the video, like in the engagement with the video? What to do in order to fix a drop in the along the video? The structure of the landing page, how to do it, what to do. There's so many aspects in it, so it will be very complex to discuss it here. But there's a lot of things to be done.
A lot of companies who drive traffic to the landing page, they do create very complicated landing pages. This is like a common mistake that I see, that people really mean it well and they want to look professional and they want to put all the information in, but really they're making their landing pages way too complicated. What kind of can you describe the landing page structure that works the best from your perspective?
Many of the landing pages are pretty simple these days. Pretty simple, and the video does the work. And I'm talking about specific direct response funnels. Okay, it's not e-com. This is direct response.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get people too distracted when they reach the landing page. So I totally agree with what you say about direct response pages. Now, it could be that it's a page without a video, but in this case, especially if you want to charge, not $199, you want to charge something more significant. In those cases, we have to do the heavy lifting in the ad level. Okay, so we do use videos in those pages without videos, but we use the videos in the ad level and get people warmed up and get them excited in order to reach the page when they want to buy. So this is also a possibility. Now, the other option is obviously a long text page, which is working, but it's not working as well for direct response. Okay, you can get conversions, but usually you'll get lower customer value, and in many cases you might get lower conversions. So it depends on the case. If it's really well written, it could work. So there's no one fit all. It's not that I can say, look, it has to have a video, it has to be short, and nothing else works. It's not like this. Okay, but definitely the video does most of the work. You need a video, you need the client not to be distracted too much.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the ad level. Do you mean videos on the landing page or the video ad, or both?
Okay, so no, what I meant was videos on the ads. And generally speaking, we use a lot of video. Okay, like 80% of what we do is video related, is using videos. And even if there's a video on the landing page, we use videos in ads at the same time. So using videos on the ads can, in some cases, make the video on the landing page not required. Okay, so it depends on the case, but it becomes not a must if you're using the video on the ad level.
And how are they then different? Like, what's the typical length of an ad video versus the landing page video?
So once I would tell you that video ad is short, but in some cases we use very, very long video ads. So it depends on the case. It also impacts the pricing of the advertisement. So there's a lot of things to consider here. And once again, there's no one solution that fits in all cases.
Yeah, sure.
Because usually you pay more for long ads.
But you don't use like the same video for both the landing page and the ad, right? So
usually not. Usually not, but we can. But look, if you use there's a strategy that was used quite a lot in the recent year, in the last year, that to use the VSL as an ad. Just play the VSL as an ad, okay? And those cases, the problem is that it gets too overused, and at some point, it stops converting. So just using the VSL as an ad and having the VSL in the page is good for a limited period of time, and it has its price. So we don't do it quite often. Okay, we could use elements, we could use different openings to fit something like this, but it's not just, there's no one trick here. There's a lot of work.
Sure.
I'll tell you just to get a better understanding of the amount of videos we produce. We have like 2,000 ads a month that we produce here. Okay,
wow. 2,000 video ads.
Yeah, a month.
Whoa.
Okay, now not all of them are totally different, but obviously a lot of them are different, and in most cases we have a couple of versions of the same ad as well. So when we test, so as I told you, we have different angles, we have different, some cases presenters, different type of ads, and for each one of them we have different versions. Because let's say that there's something you want to try now, so you might try it with a different opening, like this option, this option, this option, etc. So it's a factory of ads.
Nice. And who comes up with all this? What kind of staff do you have?
So we merged a couple of things here. So we took people from the old type of advertising, like the classic advertising agencies, like BBDO, McCann, etc. And they were champions in what they did in the past, but they didn't know direct response at all. And so they joined the group. And on the other hand, there were people that are experts in digital marketing and people who are experts in campaign management and PPC. And what we build here is a combination of all of them. So now what we have strategists. That the strategists analyze the the product, the funnel, the markets, the angles, etc. They build the infrastructure. And after building the infrastructure, they start managing the process that I talked about before. And around them, there are a couple of groups. So one group is the campaign managers, who on one side know PPC, but on the other, they also learn digital marketing. On the other side, they are the creative directors and their teams. They have graphic designers, art directors, video editors, copywriters, etc. They have like a cluster of people who execute. Now they have to execute. According to the program, they have to execute. And to that, there's the analysts and the R&D that helps with the systems and the analysis of data.
Mm-hmm.
So more or less, this is how it works. And they come from different fields of expertise. Like the campaign managers are usually engineers.
Mm-hmm.
The creative people usually grew up in the creative world. They come with understanding of people, creative messaging, etc. And the technical people are usually like they could be developers, they could be data analysts, etc. So this is in a nutshell the typical people we have.
This is interesting. Yeah, I was talking to Robert Grant. I don't know if you know him recently. He also has a Facebook agency, a very successful one in Israel. And he told me like the best PPC people, and that's also my impression being in this industry, having been in this industry for more than a decade, is like the best PPC people are in Israel and from Israel. What do you think? Why is that? So, what makes Israel, like, what's the relation between PPC and Israel that makes it so special?
So, not sure if PPC in specific, PPC is one, aspect of a bigger phenomenon. Generally, Israel, ever since the internet started, has started to flourish. Because what you see in Israel is, I think, the number 2 in the world in startups, in high-tech companies growth.
Yeah.
What's happening here is amazing, and I'll talk about a problem in a second. But there's so many initiatives here, so many startups, so many high-tech companies growing now that you can't grasp it. Israel is like, all of Israel is 9 million people. Okay, and out of them, by the way, there are like 1.5 million Orthodox Jews, which are not really into the high-tech scene. And every day you see a couple of startups that raised hundreds of millions on a daily basis, hundreds of millions of dollars a day for startups.
Wow.
Startups are sold and they acquire companies on a daily basis. It's truly unbelievable. Now, the bad side to this, by the way, is that there's not enough people. So if people want to come to Israel, I tell you, we need good people here. Everybody is working, and it's very difficult to grow the business because of it. So if we have one problem, it's finding enough good people to join the team because of what's happening now. Okay, now about PPC in specific. So I think that it's the fact that it was like a new profession at some point. And in Israel, people love new things, love to try new things. And since you can do from little Israel, you can reach the world. So I think it's very appealing. We have like the little guy mentality. Like you're so small and suddenly you can do everything and everything is open. So it's really exciting.
Cool.
But everything is a theory and a guess. I don't think, anything concrete.
Yeah, sure. If you compare people from Israel to, for example, people from Europe or the US, like what are the differences in the mentality and like how people are from your perspective and regarding the mindset? You just mentioned that they like new things.
So I think that Israelis, on one side, they're a bit bold. Like they believe that they can do it. If others do it, I can do it as well. Like a basic assumption. Um, and like in the case what we discussed is like, I see everybody's opening a startup. Why don't I do it as well? It's something like this. And Israelis are generally direct. Okay, they don't like just say things if they don't believe in them, or talk very very open and talk openly. And in some cases, I think that Israelis think out of the box. Like, don't necessarily accept what they've been told, or like the rules that this is what you should do and this is what I will do. And so everyone has an opinion, and everybody is want to share his opinion. So the good side, I think, the good side to this is the business, because you see a lot of entrepreneurs because of it, and not just accepting what's working now and assuming they can do better, etc. I used to say that Israelis are willing to work hard in order to achieve their goal. I'm not so sure about the current generation, because we became very, very Western. So people here also, they calm down with their willing to work extremely hard as it used to. But I think that's the characteristics. But talking to people who came to Israel the first time and met Israelis, in some cases they were surprised, because they saw this more or less a Western country, like all the rest of the West.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. Like, you have a Western country in the middle of the Islamic world, basically. This is amazing.
Definitely.
pretty cool. And like, all of you guys usually, unlike other countries, you guys be in the military, and you've been in the Air Force, as far as I know. Like, does that, how does that change the mentality? I think it's very different if you've been long in the military for a while, as opposed to not at all, like myself. What did you bring into your, let's say, professional life later on from your military training?
Actually, it's interesting that you bring it up, because I haven't thought about it a lot, but it's true. Because when you're 18, you go to the army, okay? And it's obligatory, like you have to go to the army. And the good side in it is that you get to do things that usually you don't get to do when you're 18. Like, on one side, it's a necessity of the army to take these young people and to let them do those roles, and to give them a lot of responsibility. But at the same time, for the people, it builds your confidence. It shows you how a big system works. How to improve things, and how to work according to standards. And there's a lot of aspects in it. And you get the self-esteem that I talked about before. You believe, I can do it. I was responsible for 40 people and millions of dollars. Why not? So I can do everything. And maybe the army service helped in that respect. Could be. Now, by the way, another side, which is an advantage of a small country, is that many people know many people.
Yeah.
So usually, like, you have friends from the army that you met, and one of them is an engineer, another one is an accountant, another one is this, another one is that, and another one works in a hedge fund with money. And then you say, okay, so I have an idea, and I know somebody with money, I know an engineer that can implement it, and it also helps the making things move.
Yeah, I live in Switzerland. It kind of feels the same. Like if you know, like, the right people, then you can make things happen easily. It seems so. It's very cool. That's what I like about small countries. you're really able to network, and you feel like you have like kind of like an oversight of what's going on. And why do you think the current generation is more soft or more westernized? Like what has changed there?
So I think it's a bit of a problem, but it came from a good place, because when they grew up in families that could take care of them very well, could provide them with everything. They had like a variety of things without much efforts. And when you're in a good state in life, you have the ability to say, okay, so I have the things I really need. Now I want to develop my personality. I want to enjoy life. I want to do things for myself. And if I look 40 years ago in Israel, by the way, 40 years ago, Israel was way, way back compared to the US and Europe.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, traveling to the US, I was amazed. The difference between Israel and the US back like in the 80s was huge. And growing up, it wasn't like we had everything. We had tons of money to spend, and whatever we wanted to buy, we could buy it. It wasn't like this. So obviously it makes a difference. Okay, if you live in a family that can provide everything. So you're more focused on fun and enjoying life and balancing work and personal life. Now for the business side, it's not so good. Okay, when it's too much, it's not perfect, but as you can see, even with that, we can do good things. So it's also not the end of the world, just to balance the picture. So it's also not the end of the world.
Sure. I think that's especially interesting when you want to hire staff. How do you recruit people? How do you find out if they're good or not?
So this is something we invested quite a lot in. We have a funnel for recruiting. And obviously different roles get different, we use different processes for different roles. But generally what we have the HR people that are experts in interviews and analyzing people. We have a computerized exam, which examines like an SAT to some extent. It has two sides, one your personal capabilities and the other your personality. And we have a series of interviews that we do. And we also talk to people who know you from the past. So we invest quite a lot in it. We learned that making the wrong decision is horrible. So we rather, miss out on somebody than to take somebody who's not really good. Both on the professional level and the personal level, because it's just as important, the personal level. Now, at the same time, in order to retain good people, it's also a challenge. Okay, so in order to retain people, you have to. One side is to get them excited about what they do, to constantly show them, to give them challenges, and there's the atmosphere that needs to be good, and obviously salaries and all the rest of it. I think, by the way, I usually tell people here that I believe that we are the digital marketing group that has the higher expenses ever. Nobody has such high expenses as us. It's also because of the local currency, the shekel. I think last year is the strongest currency in the world. Okay, really. I don't think there's any currency like our currency, and it's also us as an exporter, with all our business in the U.S. and Europe. It's even a bigger challenge.
Yeah, you have like, as an exporting country, you have like you have amazing services. Like, have you heard of NSO Group? Yeah,
I do. Not obviously not. I'm not connected personally, but I do.
Yeah, it's amazing. They sell spy software to spy services to governments.
Yeah, personally, I'm not very into it, really.
Yeah.
But they're
Me neither.
Yeah. There are one out of tens of thousands of companies, but there's definitely exciting things that happen here. But for me, if I look to the future, I think that opening branches outside of Israel makes sense. Okay, the more and more, because if you take, for example, even countries which are with a lot of talent in them, if you take Spain, Italy, countries with so many talented people, and you see that there's like 30 to 40% unemployment of young people, so you say, wow, there must be potential there. So it's something it's on our mind, and we'll see when to reach and actually do it.
Cool. Yeah, it's really. Yeah, I can kind of read your optimistic mindset. So a lot of people would say, oh, 40, 50% unemployment rate. Oh, they're just useless people. So bad. And you say, oh, potential. That's cool. That's interesting. Yeah.
Obviously, in every place, there are people who are more talented, less talented, etc. But Spain and Italy and a list of other countries, they have a lot of talent in there. Obviously, not everybody's talented, but yeah, a lot of talented people and high unemployment. There's definitely potential there.
Absolutely. Cool. So, like, as a last question, what would be your biggest tip if someone wants to build like really solid PPC campaigns? Like, what's the most important thing to look for here?
So first, you should take into account that data is essential, and it becomes more and more challenging. Okay, because if you don't have your systems connected to the server with ability to get all the data and to present it as it should, it's very difficult to manage campaigns these days. So this is one. Now, if I disregard it, and let's say that he does have the data, so I think that the combination between digital marketing and campaign management, because media buying by itself is not enough. You need to understand the marketing side of things. Okay, what used to be nice in the past, just send traffic here, there, let's see what's working, change a bit of words. It's not there anymore. You need to really understand the specific funnel, the specific offer, added values, markets, pain points. You need to understand everything and to link everything together. Okay, now, if I do look for something like a tip, look at others, see what they're doing, copy it. Okay, so I'm moving to the easiest tip is that, but it's not enough to reach higher points, bigger things, be really successful. You need to know what you're doing.
Absolutely, and test everything. Like I remember, there was like there were times where the best converting ad was a rotten banana as a cartoon. You remember those times?
It's not that I remember. We invented it.
You invented it.
That's
even better.
Okay, yeah. It's our founders. They invented the rotten banana. Okay, and made millions out of it. This is the
So
5
cool.
foods you never eat. You see a rotten banana. Okay, it used to work, and it worked for years. Okay, and everybody started to copy it everywhere.
Yeah.
But these days, it's much more complex. Much more complex. This is why we have the factory that produces so many ads. It's not like you have one good idea, you can scale it to the roof and enjoy it for a couple of years. The ads are getting worn out quickly. You need to constantly replace them, constantly refresh things. It's hard work. But obviously, the market is huge. If you do it as you should, it's also a huge opportunity.
Absolutely. So, Rafi, if someone wants to get in touch with you or learn more about your services, how can they reach you the best?
I think that the best way is our website, www.kendago.com. And obviously, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Rafi Magen, whatever. All works.
So, Rafi, thank you so much for your time. That was an amazing conversation. Lots of value for the listeners. I really appreciate it. And I'm really looking forward to see you next time and have you on the show or meet in person. Thank you so much.
Cool, Sven. Same for me. It was really fun. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and never miss an episode of Svencast again.